Okay, so how to calculate the day of the year number from 1 to 365 or 366 in the case of a leap year. Um, so my program may not be completely intuitive at first, so I just want to talk about the program real quick before I show the program. So here's a calendar. Let's say we're going to calculate the day of the year number of June 13th. So June 13th right there. How we would, intuitively do it if we were to do it by hand would be to start from January, add 31 days, 29 days for February in this case here because 2012 is a leap year. March is 31, April's 30, May is 31, and we would add the day of the month number for June 13, which is 13. And we add all those up together. 31 for January, 29 for February, and so on and so forth, plus 13. And we get 165. So June 13th is the 165th day of the year. Now, my program does that process, but backwards. I wanted to end up using a switch function thing in my program, and I wanted it so that there would be no breaks in the flow. I wanted it to just to start at some point within the list of months and then just add them all up until it got to the end, the default statement. So what I ended up having to do for this so that I'd have no break statements or return statements in the middle of it is I check to see what the last full month was, and then I add the number of days backwards. So I start with May, take 31 and add to it 30 for April, then 31 for March, so on and so forth up to January. The reason I do that is the end of my list of numbers is always predictable. It's always going to be January plus, the month, the day of the month for the current month. So basically it starts, so in this case here, it'll start counting from May, go all the way to January, and that'll be the last statement before it hits the default statement, which will be add 13 for the month of June. And that's basically the gist of how my program works. Let's go ahead and have a look at it. So here are my prototypes. Day number calculator calculates the day of the number of the year. February calculator, which determines if it's a leap year or not, and then it'll return either 29 if it is or 28 if it isn't. And here's my main function, the inputs and outputs. Here's where it calls the day number calculator function, which will end up calculating the day number of the year. So here I have an enum enumerator here. I have it listed from November to January because again we're working our way backwards, so I have to have the months backwards. And also I don't have December listed here because, well, you can never have the last full month to be December, because once you filled up December, you're now in a new year. So really I start counting from the ultimate last full month you could possibly be, and that's November. So in this case here, if it's June, the month number is 6, so it assigns M last full month to be the number 12 minus 6, which is 6. And if I go down my list here in my switch thing here, 0 is November, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So again, this is indicating what the last full month was. So it's June currently, so that means May is the last full month. So I'll take 31 and add that to my current day number, which right now it's 0, so then I add 31 to it, so now it's 31. Then I add 30 for April, 31 for March, and then we get to February, which we make a call to February calculator to determine whether or not we should add 29 or 28, which is this function down here. So 29 if it's a leap year, 28 if it's not a leap year. So here's my Boolean statement here, which will determine whether or not it's a leap year or not. So basically it just checks to see if it's a multiple of 4 and is not a multiple of 100. So there's my AND statement here, and then parentheses around that. But then I have my OR statement here because there's also if it is a multiple of 100 and a multiple of 400, so in this case here, if it just checks to see if it's a multiple of 400. In that case, it's also a leap year. So then we have this OR statement here, such that, if we have 1800, or excuse me, 1600. If we had 1600, it's a multiple of 100, so we did a false statement for this portion here, but it's still a leap year because of this this other parameter, multiple of 400. So since this is true, then it'll still evaluate the true and give us 29 for the leap year. Okay, in this case here it's 2012, so it's multiple of 4, so this is true, and it's not a multiple of 100, so this whole thing here is true, so it doesn't matter what this one's going to be since it's an OR statement, so this is always going to evaluate the true. So we return 29, we add 29 to our total now, and we add 31 for January, and then we reach the default statement here, which will then add the current day of the month number to our total. And that there is how it works basically. And then it'll output the the total. Okay, so let's see it in action. So month number 6, day of the month number, so that's 13, and the current year is 2012. So the day of the year number is 165, which is correct. So that's basically how it works. Pretty minimal and simple, I guess. Definitely not foolproof, but that's how it works. Alright, thanks for watching.